at a time.
One, two, three, four!
Now I know you're looking at me going, well, you don't look like Tim or Michael Bate. Of course I don't. I am D-Ray, the producer. I am one of the producers here at blastmusic247.com. I am filling in today here on Blaster, and I have the special privilege of interviewing Kyle Tenove of Jade Elephant, and he's going to talk about his music. He's going to talk about his background, and he's going to talk about this quiet invasion of Canadian musicians that's coming this year. So without further ado, let's bring Kyle on Blaster.
Hello.
My man Kyle, what's going on with you?
Not much, D-Ray. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome to Blaster, my man. How are things north of our border?
Oh, they're pretty good right now. It's winter's going to set in pretty quick, but things are okay.
Okay, so I'm in the South. I'm in North Carolina. So tell me, when does winter actually start for you?
It can start as early as September up here, and then it can go all the way till April.
That is a resounding hell no from me. Yeah. So, man, Jade Elephant, tell us a little bit about your band and what kind of music you guys do.
For sure, Jade Elephant is a power trio. We've got Taylor Miles on drums. We've got Mitchell Brady on vocals and guitar, and then myself on bass. Mm-hmm. We've been playing together in other projects for the past couple of years, but this band we just started in May. After the big thaw after winter. We had the Jade Elephant was born, and we're big into Led Zeppelin, big into the British rock and roll. That's kind of where we our kind of DNA starts, but then we're also into a lot of modern stuff and Queens of the Stone Age, Jack White, things like that. But a little bit of the blues, but also into the modern progressive stuff as well.
Okay, that sounds great. I was thinking of a backstory. It's like after the big thaw, like some kind of horror picture. Like, oh God, you didn't thaw him out, did you? Dear God, help us. But no,
the mammoth.
Right. So starting a new band, how daunting is that? How because just like any kind of a good group, it takes a while to get work together and communicate with each other. How difficult of a task was that for you guys to kind of come together and start playing and working together?
Fortunately, it was actually pretty easy with this one. I've been playing for a long time. I've played in a lot of different projects, and we were part of another project together, the three of us. And we decided we just wanted to start a new chapter together. So we kind of thought, let's close the book on the old project. Let's start a new book together. And we already, and I think it just kind of gave us new wind under our sails, because then all of a sudden we were writing really quickly. We were, a lot of, sometimes when you're in a project for a while, it can feel a bit stale, or maybe you lose interest or passion. And so starting over for us was actually a huge blessing. We've been playing together so much that part that usually happens with a new band, where you're trying to figure out how to communicate and how to play together, didn't exist. So I was really fortunate. It was more just, can we get these big gigs that we want right away?
Yeah, that part. Right.
Yeah. Right. And we were really fortunate that we kind of didn't lose a lot of headway. We were fortunate last year. We opened for ZZ Top when they came up here. And then so it was like, how do we keep that momentum going? And we've opened for some big bands here since then. So it's been, that's kind of been the beginning of the story.
That is pretty awesome. Well, without further ado, I'm interested. I'm all about music myself, so I'm ready to hear some music from Jade Elephant, and I do believe the intern has us queued for this track. Is called "Listen to the Beatles."
Yeah,
is this right? All right,
that's correct.
Let's check this out on Blaster, Blast Music 247. Let's go.
When you're alone on New Year's Eve, you just can't find your place to be. It's always fun, but there's always lots of people. I'd rather stay at home and listen to the Beatles. It's okay, it's alright. You don't have to feel alive, yeah. When you feel so alone, no one's there to call you on your telephone. We turn a blind eye. It's always the same. You say you know where you're going. Take me back south, baby, show me what you owe me. Yeah, it's okay, you're alright. Just don't put off the fight, yeah. When you feel so alone, no one's there to call you on your telephone, yeah. I turn a blind eye. Don't be afraid. Not you. You don't have to tell me. I know that you lose. Babe, you got something right, but I got something wrong. You turn a blind eye. It's okay, you're alright. Just don't put off the fight, yeah. When you feel so alone, no one's there to call you on. Baby, just pick up the phone. You know you got a chance to make it right, yeah. Don't turn a blind eye.
All right, man. Kyle, that was wait a minute. Where did it go? There it is. Listen to the Beatles from Jay Elephant. Before I start, because of course I've been in the music business a while and I'm a producer. So it is impossible for me to listen to something without it reminding me of something else.
Totally, yeah.
And I was the first maybe 8 to 16 bars, 3 different bands came to my head that are in my memory banks or whatever. But before I say who they are, I want to get an idea of what was the personnel on this song, who produced it, and who engineered it.
For sure. So
Mm.
on this, it's just the three of us playing. So you've
Mhm.
got Mitchell Brady on lead vocals and guitars,
Mhm.
myself on bass and backup vocals, and then the
Mhm.
drummer Taylor Miles on drums, a little bit of percussion. There's a shaker in there at some point,
Mhm.
and then backup vocals as well. So the
Mhm.
three of us, produced by Russell Broom here in Calgary, who's in Calgary. He's the legend. He's a
Mhm.
guitar aficionado. He's incredible.
Mhm.
Engineered by Trent Dolson at OCL Studios out here, which is it's the largest at-home studio. It's really in like a mansion.
Well, if you're gonna have at home, all right. As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by my internet service provider. If you're gonna have a home studio, it might as well be in a mansion. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love the sound. And I'm still gonna get to the 2-3 bands that I heard, but
Yep.
before that, how long have you been a musician?
I'm in my 30s now, so 20 years.
Oh wow!
I started pretty young and started
Mhm.
gigging when I was in elementary school.
Wow.
And and I've been doing that ever since. And I've produced things, I've played things. I'm a session player as well as
Nice.
playing in a whole bunch of bands. And yeah, now I've kind of found my people with Jade Elephant. It's been really incredible playing with the other two.
Love it, love it. So, who some of the bands that you grew up listening to?
Zeppelin for sure. Big Zeppelin fans. My dad's a drummer, so when I was growing up, he was a big John Bonham guy. So lots of Led Zeppelin. Just kind of the classics when I was growing up. I was super into David Bowie. Yeah, totally. But then it was a mix. I mean, when I was growing up, it was like all of a sudden hip hop became mainstream at the same time. Right. So it was just like all of a sudden I was mixing that together because it was available. I mean, I had to hide the CDs under my pillow, but but it was a time of kind of a melting pot of different things, and things were becoming available, so I could listen to all kinds of different types. So I mean, I've played in hip hop groups. I've played, I've played in world music groups. I've played jazz. I've done all this different stuff. But then when it comes back to it, rock is kind of my in my blood.
Right. Well, there's a saying that goes, you can tell what type of person someone is by who their favorite Van Halen frontman was. So you're either a David Lee Roth fan or Sammy Hagar. And you being a David Lee Roth fan says a whole lot about you and like
Diamond Dave versus. That's a hard one though, because I like Hagar because I like how chill he is, but I mean Diamond Dave can do backflips. So
I mean, come on, like for me, I love Sammy. Don't get me wrong, but for the '80s, you had to have David. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, you just had to.
Well, I'm more interested in the bass player anyway. So
right. So here's my thing. Listening to this first track, the first band that I thought about was Blues Travelers.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, that was the first band, right? The second band, believe it or not, well, the second and the third band are kind of similar. The Stray Cats from the 80s, and Cherry Poppin' Daddies from like late 80s, early 90s. And the reason is because there is a mix of, I hear the rock edge, I hear the vocal delivery and the cadence, but there is also this rockabilly sort of gas that's underlying everything that is just like, and my first reaction to it was, okay, these guys are not going to have a problem getting a gig at all. because this is the kind of music you want to party and get drunk to.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So what was that
That's cool.
process like? No problem. What is the songwriting process like for you guys, man? Do you just jam and come up with it, or somebody comes in with an idea and everybody just sort of falls in line?
It's a mix. Like, it just depends on the song. Like, I think, like, as you get to hear the 3 songs that we have today, they all started in a different way. Listen to the Beatles was more of a process. And in fact, like, we kind of, at first, I don't think we really liked it. We were working on it. We couldn't really figure it out, and we got stuck in a bunch of places. But as a producer, I'm sure you understand this part is once our producer came in for some pre-pro, before we went to the studio, he helped us unglue those where we were stuck. He pulled us out. Oh, like, why don't you try this in the bridge? Why don't you try this? Tag this. Then all of a sudden we had those kind of where we started maybe getting a little too in the mud and a little too indecisive with our songwriting with it. So with listening to the Beatles, that's how that one worked. We all came up with different ideas, but especially like the bass line in the chorus is kind of a nod to a Paul McCartney thing because we wanted to associate with the Beatles. So I'm doing like a walking bass line, and that was Russ Broom's idea. He said, you have a perfect opportunity here to pay tribute to Paul McCartney. Why aren't you doing that? And I was maybe doing an 8th note thing. And I went, oh, okay. So we came up with that. And then for me, that's the signature bass line anyway in that song.
Right. Of course, live taping and my light just sort of falls away. But
the power doesn't go out.
You know what I mean? It's just like, we've had hurricanes and all manner of stuff here. So, excuse me for that. But funny, before we play the next song, you brought up your attention to bass players, especially with when we're talking about Van Halen. So I have to know, who are your top 3 favorite bass players of all time? And it can be any genre. It can be rock, it can be jazz, it can be whatever. But who are some of the bass players that you sort of, I don't necessarily want to say emulate, but you go, okay, I'm learning a lot from this person?
Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, there's a lot of them. I like to think I grab things like when I was growing up. I'm not going to pick him as one of my 3, but the bass player from the Clash, Paul Simeon, was when I was growing up. That's who I wanted to be, because he was, being a bass player, you're up against the guitar players. When you walk off stage, and when I was young, this was an issue for me. When I'd walk off stage with the guitar player gets all the attention, and it was like I wasn't even there.
Yeah, that's
when you're in the back holding it down, right? So I looked at someone like him and thought, oh well, look, I mean, the cover of London Calling for the Clash of smashing the guitar, that's the bass. It's the bass player. So I wanted to be him, but I think now the biggest ones for me, John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin for sure. Because I mean, the guy was a monster, and he's on so many recordings. Jaco Pastorius, which is jazz.
Yeah.
So he's from Florida, and he's been passed for a long time now, but he kind of reinvented bass playing. So I spent a lot of my 20s trying to cop his stuff, and there's some of that in there. And then third, I think someone who gave me a big lift when I was a kid was Flea from the Chili Peppers. For sure. Because I could look at him and go, I want to be like that. But you know what? I would say more. It's hard. I don't know who to pick for my third one.
No, but it's cool though, because first I'm gonna just say, instead of, I don't have to ask how high you were. I could just, you saying that you were trying to listen to Jaco in your 20s, that lets me know everything I need to know, so I don't have to ask anything else.
Trying
but
to
also,
steal all his lines.
right? Yeah, it's like, okay, you do realize you're gonna need a rocket booster to get up there, right? But but with Flea, and this is just my opinion, I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves with his contribution to the culture. So Red Hot Chili Peppers was the band You know what I mean? In the late 90s, early 2000s. And it was that, and similar to what you were saying before, that sort of amalgamation of rock, punk, and hip hop sort of all just sort of meshed there together. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so, yeah, I could definitely see that in your music. So how about we do this? Let's go to the second track. The
Sweet.
second, producer, sorry, I say tracks instead of songs. And this one is called Take Me Back. All right, let's do it on Blaster.
Coming out, oh yeah. You know my girl is long gone. Take me, yeah, to see her and sing this song. What you tell my mama? I'm not coming home. My sugar, yeah. Won't you take me there? And I don't feel your loving, yeah. Won't you take me there, yeah? Back home. I should have known, yeah, that you'll be gone. Oh yeah, I know your feelings are strong, yeah, yeah. Now needs the baby to tell me what went wrong, yeah. I got to tell my mama I'm on my way home. Not too good, yeah. Won't you take me there? And I don't feel your loving, yeah. Won't you take me there, yeah? Oh, back home.
Wow, that was Take Me Back, Jade Elephant. If this was my radio show, I would run that back. I like that.
Sweet. That's great.
I like
Glad
that
to
a
hear it.
lot. And I'm under the impression now that you guys have invaded us before and bypassed all of the states and went straight to Alabama and stole a little bit of Leonard Skinner's mojo and took it back to Alberta with you.
Oh, a little bit of Allman Brothers for
Oh
sure.
my
Yeah.
God, a little bit of Stevie Ray in there somewhere.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Man, what was the emphasis of this song? How did this song come together?
This one was kind of interesting. That slide part in the beginning was Mitchell's idea. So he was just kind of playing around with it, and we just I love slide guitar. It's huge for me. And when he plays slide, he would do it when he would solo. So every now and then he'd pop a slide on and he'd do that. And I'd always go, man, you got to write something with a slide. And he said, well, I've got something. And he showed us, and we were just like, okay. And then we just started jamming to it and coming up with the ideas, and we just workshop it over and over and over. And again, we had Russell Broom come in, our producer, and he looked at it and said, you know, change this chord in the pre-chorus, like, try this, try that. So we did that, and then you know, and have the outro be more of that's a bridge basically at the end. So try this out, try that out. And then he said, I know a guy who plays a really mean harmonica in Toronto. So we got Steve Mariner, who's he plays with a blues group called Monkey Junk, as well as Colin James. I don't know if you're familiar with Colin James, but he's like, in Canada, he's the blues. Stevie Ray discovered him. So like back in the day, and he's one of our guitar gods. So we were fortunate that Steve was available to do some harp for us, and he did that in 2 takes. And it's nuts.
Don't you hate that?
Oh man, especially something like that where it's just like the energy and power behind it.
Right.
It makes the song.
Yeah, it does. And nothing says like Mississippi Delta like a little bit of harmonica and slide guitar, you know. But I really, really, really dug that.
Thanks.
So I had a 2-part question. First part of the question is this. Where do you stand as a musician that has 20 years in the game, and here we are now in 2024, about to go into 2025. That's really, really crazy, right?
Yeah.
We are inundated with artificial intelligent music. We have now, you can go on a website and tell the computer what kind of music you want, and it spits it out for you, and totally circumventing all of the training and dues that a musician has to pay. Where do you stand on technology and music right now?
It's easy to get freaked out by it and all, and I think a lot of people do or worry like, well, AI is going to replace us. And when they started coming out with those AI things that could sound like Paul McCartney or Kanye West and like all those kind of deep fake AI things, and people were like freaking out. I, as someone who, the biggest part of playing music is playing live for me.
Right.
And I know my belief that I'll stand by till the day I die is that we will always need that. That's a human thing. So like AI can't do that. What we do, and I mean, you can't quantify what the feeling is when you hear a song and you get the shivers, or you go to a show and you know all those endorphins dumping in your head. So I'm not afraid of it. I think it's a tool. I mean, technology has done a lot for us. When I was a kid learning to record, I was taking my dad's camcorder and taking the RCA cables, the colored ones, and I was taking the yellow one out, and I was hitting record so the white and red ones were in so I could record the audio. So that's how I was making my first recordings when I was 10.
Absolutely.
And now I can do it with my cell phone. Or like my setup at home, I do bass sessions and send them all over the country and into the States and into Europe. If somebody hires me for something, I can do that from home, which wasn't available growing up. And same with music. People can bellyache as much as they want about Spotify and all that, but people are listening to us in countries. Oh, I mean, it's what's connected us. Like we wouldn't be talking. Otherwise I'd be emailing you CDs. Hoping you're opening the CD, you put the CD in, you listen to the CD, you like the CD.
Hey man, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, and like that was the process for a long time. And now I can send you a link and you can listen to it or not listen to it, but if you listen to it and you like it, boom, all of a sudden we're connecting.
Well, the crazy side note, you talked about playing sessions. I think Logic, I'm a big I primarily use Logic Pro.
Same.
And one of the updates, have you seen the, forget what it's called, but it is basically Studio Wire for Logic. that you
Right.
can dial in and basically have like a Zoom call within Logic and share your session. And so instead of you having to send me a file, you're just playing on the session just like we're doing a band lab.
Yeah.
So
In real time. Like,
in
can you
real
believe that?
exactly. That is just
Like,
like insane.
yeah. And it's made more work for me.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So that leads me to question number 2 of that is that we have this reliance on technology while we're in the studio, because in the studio we can do overdubs, we can use auto tune if necessary, we can find plugins and things in that nature. But how does that translate when you're going live? Because either something's going to get left out, or you're just going to be carrying a lot of equipment with you. How do you translate that technology to a live audience to wherein they feel like they still can feel the authenticity of the music?
That's a great question, because that's been kind of part of the mission statement for the band. I've opened for bands where all of a sudden you realize, oh, it's all tracks. Like, it's all, you're watching it and going, oh my gosh, like, I'm hearing 5 keyboards, but there's no keyboard player, or even the vocal, like that mic's not on.
Dude,
Like,
my wife doesn't even want to go to concerts with me anymore, because now it's like me
Yeah,
telling a kid. Yeah, like it's like a kid telling a kid there's no Santa Claus. It's like, oh, okay, well, there's the Mac that everything is running off of. You see how the song is in 4/4 time, but the drummer's kind of playing in 6/8. You see how it's slightly off? That's because he's not really playing. You know, she's looking at me like, would you shut up?
I
But
know, it's
anyway.
like the Wizard of Oz. Like, it's,
Yeah.
And so we set out, because we've all had experiences with that, and fair enough. Some of those touring acts, like, you watch some of those really big ones that are touring constantly, and like, fair enough, they're putting on a massive. It's about entertainment. It's not necessarily about that. Whereas what we wanted to do is we're 100% real all the time, and we're going to cover as many of the parts as we can. Like, Take Me Back's a great example. We don't have a harmonica player. So when we go out, well, then that means Mitchell's going to come up with something on the guitar that's going to fill that space, or I'm going to fill it, or Taylor on drums is going to do something, so that we have this difference between our stereo, like our I say stereo recordings, it shows my age. We have these recorded studio recordings, right, that are a version, but when you come to see us live, you're going to get, you're going to get the live show and the energy from that. And I mean, because like I said, Zeppelin is huge for all 3 of us.
Absolutely.
That was like a big part of Zeppelin. Jimmy Page did so many overdubs in the studio that when he was playing live, he had to try and put them all together to the best of his ability. And they were the biggest stadium rock band ever, right? So it's kind of, that's our belief, is just, we're going to bring the energy and bring the rock, and we're going to cover as many parts as we can.
And I agree with that. I love that answer, because I talk to artists a lot, and especially artists who want to get on their soapbox and we don't want to do technology and blah blah blah. And here's my thing: use whatever you want to use, but at the end of the day, like you alluded to earlier, there is no plug-in for passion. There is no plug-in for the fluid in your spine tingling when a certain guitar solo is hit, and so use whatever you want when you go to a club or go to a performance, but you better connect with the audience, or it's going to be a waste of time.
That's right.
Personally, having listened to 2 of your songs, I can pretty much see you guys performing, opening for someone in Canada, but I also could see you in some little rinky-dink dime backwoods swamp running club, and you guys wouldn't get run out of there. You know what I mean?
Right,
I could see that. I really, really could see that.
Well, that's great. And that's kind of what we do when we tour. Like, it's a mix, right? Like, sometimes, we're playing the big shows and opening for the big bands, but even this summer we were in interior British Columbia, and like one of the bars we played in, we're on the floor with everybody, and we're playing, and the place is going crazy, and it's super, like we're loud, and everyone's losing their minds, and people are trying to grab the mic, and like you're having this moment, and it's like, but we're all experienced, so it's like we know how to handle that. And I mean, I grew up, Alberta's not, can be a bit rough, and especially as you go up into these small towns, and it's like I had those shows, people throwing bottles at you and like all that stuff, and it's like you got to learn how to, it's part of it. Especially if you're playing rock, people are going to get amped up, people are going to fight in the street after. That's okay, as long as no one gets hurt.
Right. But I tell you what, you get hit one good time with one of them SM58s or SM57s. All you gotta do is get hit one time. You know not to do that anymore.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Or the old bass hit. Boom.
Oh my God, because you could drop them bad boys from space. Trust me, I know. So yeah, man, where do you see your band in the next year or so? What is kind of the next step for you guys? Is it just playing more shows? Is it, getting signed to a major label? Is it just connecting? What do you think is the next step for the band?
Well, we've got releases planned. We're going to do an EP before the end of the year, and then we've got a full-length album coming out 2025. Mm-hmm. So we're working towards those with the goal of just keeping to raise awareness, connecting with people like you. It's just about we want the more attention we can bring to what we're doing, then all the rest of it comes. I've been in this game long enough to know, I've done the label thing. I've done all those things, and what I've learned is just like you want to get to that point that they all want you, because that's where you get the good deal. Otherwise, like we don't need them yet. I've been in the industry long enough that I can do the bookings, and same with the other two guys. Everyone's well versed in this industry, so it's we're working together and just bringing awareness and reaching out to people and connecting internationally, because we don't know who we don't know yet. And, and so for us right now, it's kind of staying the course, just continuing what we're doing, touring. We hope to come down to the States. We hope to go to Europe. We hope to go across Canada. It's, but for now it's just like, we're hunkering down, and like we're spending a lot of time in Alberta and BC because they're close to us. Well, close. Canada, any distance is great. The next major city is like 3 hours away, but
it's like I remember geography. It's like close. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's close. But that's why it's incredible when you come down to the States, and it's like you can go from major city to major city within an hour, where here it's like 3+ hours. So, but it is just growing that out and seeing what opportunities are available. We're, trying to open for other big bands and play some festivals. So it's really just putting in the hard work for the next year.
Right. And, I heard someone say, matter of fact, I heard one of my favorite producers of all time yesterday say that it's not necessarily about the journey. It's about who you're on the journey with and who you affect while you're on the journey, because you never know where the end game is going to be. But along the way, man, look at all the music that you're sharing, and you're giving people a break from all the obvious stuff that's going on. So hats off to you guys, man, because I can hear the work. As a producer, I can hear the work. So
thank you. Well, and that kind of goes the AI conversation, right?
Right.
That's what we're doing. That's our job as entertainers, is to bring joy and to make people go, "Wow, that was exciting," or "This, I love this song," or whatever. And yeah, it's an organic thing. Like you can add all the technology you want, but at the end of the day, a computer can play a bass line maybe more complicated than me, but not with the same feel. And let's hope it stays that way.
Exactly. And that's funny because you said that. And we're gonna get to your next song in a minute. I was watching a podcast with Questlove from The Roots, and he was saying, how does he audition a new musician? Or he asked his dad, because his dad was a musician as well, like yours. And his dad said, instead of playing something complicated, like a computer would play or like AI could play, give him the most simple ballad the most simple song and see if he can interject his emotion into it.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Because you can't fake it. You can't fake it.
No, and I have a daughter and she plays piano, and I always tell her, it's like, you can practice your scales and learn how to play them really fast, but can you play them really slow? Because if you can play them really slow, then you can play them double time. That was, you know, every kid, I think, when they're learning, they want to play fast. It's just the way it is. But it's like, I learned that, you know, while I was coming up. If I can learn a bass line really slow, I can double the speed. And then if I can double the speed, then why do I have to learn it fast first? Because if you're playing fast, the mistakes fly by. But if you're playing slow, there's a lot of room. Which I just have to tag back when you said Questlove. That I listened to that podcast as well. And I now remember who my number one bass player is Pino Palladino, who I've seen. I saw him play with Eric Clapton, The Who. The same year he was playing with D'Angelo and Nine Inch Nails. Like, the guy is a monster. I can pick him out as soon as I hear a bass line in a song. I can go, that's Pino. And that's my guy. That's my number one guy.
What's funny is I was listening to him yesterday because he has a track that he did. I don't really know how they did it, but he had a track with Miles Davis that I think it's called Get On or something like that. But he has a very, very specialized sound when you hear it. So very, very dope.
Yeah, you hear that and it's just like
yeah. And you know, I gotta throw in Victor Wooten and Stanley Clark for me.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean Wooten can do alien things. Like, you can't replicate what Wooten does.
Dude, that was we're gonna get on a whole tangent with musicians. So, but Victor Wooten, I actually saw him. He did a clinic at a place called the Music Loft where I live, and he did something with his kid's voice, along with something he was doing on the bass that I still can't explain how he did it. And you just walk away from him just like, wow, I'm never touching a bass guitar ever again in life.
He's a freak, man. I don't know. Nobody can do what he does. There's just one.
His brain actually might be AI. So let's play this last track. Can you tell us about this last song?
Yeah, so this one, this is our brand new song, Bad Thing, just came out on September 13th. And this one was super exciting for us to write and then record because we wrote it in about 10 minutes. It was just one of those freaky ones where we were all in the room. Mitch had an idea on guitar, and then we just developed the whole thing. Again, our producer Russell Broom came in, gave us a couple tips, and that's where we came up with the key change at the end and the slowdown. We had a whole different outro before that we wrote in the initial session, and then he came and we workshopped it a little bit, and then we came up with how it comes out now. And the goal with this one was this song represents our sound, I think, the best. It's an attack on the system. It's just we're just going. So it's I don't think I need to say more than
that. I had an anarchy alert that just went off in my brain, so now I'm really paying attention. So here we go. Jade Elephant. What is it called? Bad Thing music?
Bad Thing.
No, Bad Thing. Bad Thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Blaster.
Here we go.
Let me be your bed.
And that was Bad Thing from Jade Elephant. Wow. Um, couple of things. I love that track. Number one, that reminds me more of Led Zeppelin than the other twos that I've heard. That's number one.
Totally.
And number two, for you, my friend Kyle, you remind me of Noah Redding from the videos I've seen in the Hendrix Experience. The shirt, the hair, everything.
Cool.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, we're huge Hendrix heads, so that's wow.
On,
thanks.
Come on, man. You cannot be in this game, and I don't care if you're doing hip hop, jazz, Zydeco, rock, whatever the case. You cannot be in this game and not respect Hendrix. You just can't do it.
It's the real thing. Like
legit, you cannot do it.
Yeah.
So, man, that was a great track, man. And that came out on the 13th.
Yeah.
Oh wow. And I'm gonna be really, really nice when I say this. I can see the girls dancing in my head on this one, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. So yes, sir. I knew it did. I could tell it. So here's my question to you, sir. You seem to be a type of person that you live and breathe music. You've been in this game a minute. You've got experience. You probably watch interviews like I do, tutorials. You're watching anything that you can get an edge because we're students of the game. Yep. What do you as a musician do to recharge? Because it's sometimes real easy to be working on something and you don't realize that you're empty until you're like, God, I just gotta, What do you do to recharge?
Honestly, a lot of walking. I'm really lucky. I live next to a provincial park at my house, which is full of just like you can imagine for Canadians. There's beavers down there, there's deer, there's coyotes, there's the whole thing. So you can and it's a beautiful park. So I walk around there quite a bit, and that clears my head. Very Canadian of me. And then also the band itself, we love to play disc golf, which there's a disc golf course right by my house. And so when we tour, we actually play that the whole time we tour. We'll go play in the afternoon, play 18 holes disc golf. We did one on the side of a mountain this summer. We did one in the Badlands in Drumheller. So I do that. And then, the variety of music that I listen to and play is really what keeps me going. And my family, I have a family, and, it's really nice to, kind of tune out a little bit. I mean, music is always a part of it, but you definitely have to shut off the career every now and then.
Right. When you were going through that thing about the beavers and everything, I just knew you were going to say, and pools of maple syrup. But
out of the trees. Yeah, no, not here. Not here.
It's like the sap is flowing like milk and honey. But yeah, man. I really, really enjoyed talking to you.
As well.
I love your sound, and I love what you guys are doing. Please tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook at Jade Elephant Music. We're on every streaming platform. We have a YouTube channel, which is also Jade Elephant Music, and we even have a website, jadeelephantmusic.com.
All right, last question, because we've covered a lot of musicians. We've covered the Beatles, we've covered Zeppelin, Skynyrd has made an appearance. We've even talked about Hendrix and Blues Travelers and everybody else. Dream gig for you, dead or alive, who is someone that you would love to just sit in and jam with for an hour?
Oh man, that's a great question. I honestly, the thing that really inspired me growing up was Motown. So if I could I could choose a moment, would be to be in that studio and be James Jamerson on bass. If I could look into his body and just listen, because it was growing up, it was like listening to that stuff it was like, I can remember when I first heard the Supremes and I heard, and you know, those bass lines that are behind that Jackson 5 stuff, it was just like, what? Like a bass can do this? Because when I was growing up, I played guitar first. So I thought bass was for guitar players that couldn't hack it. You know, when I was really little, and then I ended up playing bass. But I realized when I got older, that's what I was listening to when I was listening to those songs. The vocals are incredible, of course. The groove I'm listening to was the bass. It was the same, like, you know, all the Quincy Jones produced Michael Jackson stuff. You listen to that now, and the groove is insane. So if I could be a part of that world, you know, maybe I'd be getting paid a bit more than those session players got paid, but
come on, dude.
$5 a track.
Oh, come on, man. That's and then when you talk about Motown, and to me that gets back to how all of this music is connected. There's a lot of things that are intentionally trying to divide us as a nation, as a world, as a people. But when you get right down to it, and you brought up Quincy Jones earlier, Quincy Jones said something in his documentary that I would advise everybody to go watch on Netflix. He said, think about in all of human history, all of the music that has ever been created has been created with 7 notes.
Yeah, it's one scale.
It's, you know what I mean? 7 notes. And throughout human history, it's how we change and interact those 7 notes that define music. And so at the core of everything, it's all connected, you know? And so like I can sit here, we can have a conversation on Motown, just like we have a conversation, for me, we can have a conversation on the Oak Ridge Boys, we can have a conversation on Pet Shop Boys or whatever the case, because in my mind, it's all connected. But
it is.
That's what that is. All right.
If you don't have Motown, you don't have rock and roll. I mean, they're all connected. They're different types, but they affect each other, right?
Right. Absolutely. And the fact that the studio that the Funk Brothers recorded in was maybe half the size of your living room.
Yeah, it was a closet, basically.
It literally was a closet.
I don't know how they did it, but that's part of it, right? They were together and they were close, and then you get this sound. Like it was the same. I heard about. I'm a big like all that stuff. Like I grew up listening to a lot of soul. Like I can tell you the first time I heard Sam Cooke, and it just like electrified. And it was Another Saturday Night was the song, and it just blew my brain apart because I all the sound. But I remember them saying for Stax Records, they could like how they got that sound was they recorded in a theater, so there was an incline because of where the seats used to be, so the snare hits in a certain way. You can't replicate that. It was an accident. It was just because of the room they were in, and that's like the kind of thing I grew up. And as a producer, doing my other projects and so on, it's like that's the stuff you think about. That's where you got to be. That's where the feel is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about placement. And because back in the day when they would record jazz, drums and the bass were the furthest away because that signal is the strongest. Yeah. And if you know that, then when you're using the technology, you can use a little psychoacoustics and people will never know. But that takes, knowledge and experience. But man, this has been a great conversation. Last word is, I'm walking out of your concert. Now, I may be slightly inebriated, but I'm walking out of the bar, just got finished listening to you guys play. What is and my friend calls me and says, "Okay, how was the Jade Elephant concert?" What is the first thing you want me to tell my friend about the performance of the song?
First thing I would hope is that you would tell them that they need to come to the next one. And I think I really hope what translates through our performances is that people are just excited and happy, and it takes them away to just this place. Like I think we do a fairly good job of that, and we're going to continue to work on it so that people go, it's an experience. It's an experience, and it's so musical. And I wouldn't be offended if people said, but it's really loud. It is really loud. We hand out earplugs. We even have we've had in the past merch where it's like a keychain for earplugs because it's just true. It's really
Nice.
loud, but if you put in the plugs, it sounds great. So that's what I would hope. I hope people would walk away and go, "You got to come see this." That's what I want.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, man, look, we got to have you guys back, and
Please.
we want to talk about more music and touring and things of that nature. But man, this has been a great episode, and I'm glad I got the opportunity to meet. And now you're family now, so
Great.
hope to see you guys live in the very, very near future. So let me go ahead and land this plane. I am D-Ray, the producer, filling in for our good friends Michael Bate and Tim Steinbeck for Blaster here on blastmusic247.com. And we will see you again in the very, very near future. Peace.
Peace.